So I know people say this a lot, and that every year is supposed to be the biggest year for VR. Well, here's why 2025 will be different. And yes, I'm guilty of it too, but we are reaching a climax, a combination of a year's worth of investment into making VR actually good. You know, I'm going to take you on a journey through all the different bits and bobs coming this year, and that's including making my own Frankenstein version of what's to come. And so let's start right here with Chapter 1. Yes, Android XR has finally been announced, and I think we can all agree it's been the worst kept secret since the Quest 3. In other words, it was a terrible secret. But what actually is it? And why should Meta and the VR lizard overlord be worried? Well, this war has been brewing for a while. It all started when Meta wanted to bring 2D apps to the Quest. You know, the kind of innovation that would let you play Pimple Popper, but in VR. But Google shut that idea down. Instead, they decided to save the sweet functionality for their own master plan. Enter Android XR. Now, let's get one thing clear. Android XR isn't a headset, it's a platform. Think Meta Horizon OS, but with a little more Google. It's basically Apple versus Microsoft, except not really because, let's be honest, Apple doesn't let anyone touch their OS, the greedy buggers. But here's where it gets really spicy. Google has a serious ace up its sleeve. Its ecosystem. You've got Maps, Chrome, YouTube, and the Play Store, all ready to slide into XR with minimal fuss. So when Samsung launches its revolutionary Android XR powered headset later this year, it'll essentially be like strapping a phone to your face. An Android phone to your face. Add in Google's new tools for creating XR apps, games, and experiences, and you've got a recipe for something potentially big. But I've got 3 hot takes on this. Number 1 is it's good news for Meta. Yep, it shuts a rod up their ecosystem, and it's the kick they need to up their game. And it's probably why we've been leaning into more system level approaches more recently. Number 2 is it's good news for us. Competition means new headsets and shiny new toys, starting with Samsung's VR headset, and I'll get to that in a second. And number 3 is Google might just ghost us. They've got a great track record for ditching products faster than you can say Google Glass. So don't get too attached. But now here's my beef. This was supposed to be an XR showcase, but Google spent way too much time flexing their AI. But this was about VR and AR, not Gemini AI. But let's talk about what they did announce. The all-new Samsung VR headset, codenamed Project Muhan, is essentially an Apple Vision Pro, but hopefully not $3,500. The specs are impressive. 4K micro OLED displays, 16GB of RAM, and the same Snapdragon chip in the Quest 3 and Quest 3S. They demoed it live, showcasing productivity stuff. Boring! But jokes aside, this could actually be good. If Samsung can pull it off, include controllers, add games, it will give the Vision Pro a proper rival. They would have something solid. But it makes you think about Meta. As much as people don't like Meta, you've got to respect their endless, relentless pursuit of VR. Whilst Google is dipping their toes in the water, Meta has been diving headfirst in the abyss. But here's the kicker. This is all about the future of AR glasses. VR, XR, it's just a precursor to these glasses. Everyone knows that glasses are the endgame, the eventual replacement for the smartphones. Google's positioning Android XR to dominate this space, and honestly, it does make sense. But for now, Meta still has the lead, and this battle is far from over. And now before we head into Chapter 2, here's what Boz, Meta's CTO, thinks about all of this.
Yeah, it's no surprise to us. We knew this was coming. They were kind enough to give us a heads up about it a few months ago. Obviously I'm a little disappointed that they didn't just invest with us. We'd have loved to have done that. The offer was made and it remains open to them. But insofar as they're taking a different path, it'll be good to learn from them and see what they come up with. Obviously, we'll know a lot more when an actual product is ready. Nothing new came from that announcement as far as we were concerned.
Now, this is how I picture a day in 2025.
Breaking news! The Valve Deckard has finally been announced and is due for release in late 2025!
Time to choose.
Why 2025? Look, I know I've talked about this subject a lot, and yes, I have a slight addiction to putting G-Man in my thumbnails. But something is different now. Things are really starting to heat up, and that's because the first time it feels like Valve is actually on the clock, and it's ticking louder than your nan's kitchen timer. The reason? This thing right here, the ROG Ally. Anyway, let's start with Roy. A while back, Valve's new controllers leaked, codename Roy, which, let's be honest, sounds like the name of a retired darts player. But what's significant here is two things. Roy is clearly further along in development. Valve's leaked controllers have leaked before, but this was clearly an early iteration. Roy, on the other hand, looks more polished, and these leaks reveals a lot about Valve's new direction. Number two, it's got a D-pad. But why does this matter? Because if you've been snooping around Deckard rumours like I have, you'll know this D-pad screams hybrid device. It's designed for both 2D and 3D games from Steam's library. Translation, it's not just VR, it's Steam Deck strapped to your face. Here's another clue. Deckard is set to use ARM-based architecture. Why is this a big deal? Because ARM powers Proton, Valve's magical compatibility layer that lets Windows games run on Linux hardware, aka the Steam Deck's entire thing. So what does this mean for Deckard? It means you'll be able to play Steam games right out the box. No messy setups, no fiddling with drivers, just good old Steam goodness. But now in 2D and 3D. Valve's been testing games on this set for months now, which tells me they're putting the finishing touches on their new toy, and they're aiming for a 2025 launch. But they're not just racing a clock, they're racing against Meta and Asus. Enter the hybrid war.
What if I could offer you something you don't know you want?
Here's the twist no one saw coming. Asus and Meta are now budding up to tackle the same hybrid VR market. Their partnership is the first wave of Horizon OS devices, and Asus has all the tools to make it happen. Just look at the ROG Ally. It's a Windows-based handheld powerhouse. Now imagine that tech in a headset. Sounds like trouble for Valve, potentially. And while Asus hasn't said much about their plans, let's face it, it's an obvious move. If they can make a hybrid device that combines the PC gaming handheld pedigree with Meta's VR expertise, Valve is going to have a serious fight on their hands. But is it even realistic? Well, it is certainly possible. I've got a Quest 3 and a ROG Ally, so I can test the viability in a rough environment. So even without optimization, I can already play 2D and VR games through the Ally in VR. Now imagine zero latency, buttery smooth performance, and hardware built specifically for this. This is what the Deckard and Asus hybrid headsets could deliver. But that's just one side of the coin. This isn't about hardware or specs or who has the shiniest toys. It's what these headsets represent, the future of gaming, where your PC and your VR headset become one. That's why I can't shut up about the Deckard, because its potential just gets me all tingly. But with all this craziness, we are just getting started. Now, I don't say this lightly, but 2025 is shaping up to be the biggest year for VR since, well, ever. It's like every tech company woke up, saw Meta hogging the spotlight, and collectively said, hold my beer. We have so many companies lining up to wow us, or bankrupt us, probably both. So let's break down the headsets you could expect in 2025, why they matter, and just how likely they are to show up. First is the Meta Quest Pro 2. Meta teaming up with LG to create the Quest Pro 2, a headset that is supposed to directly compete with the Vision Pro. Initially due early 2025, but there have been rumours of delays, so I'll set this one at a 50% probability. Samsung XR, aka Project Muhan. We spoke about this already, and this was actually officially confirmed for 2025, so we can almost certainly give this mixed reality headset a 90% chance of arriving on time. The Apple Vision Pro 2. Over the last few months, rumours have been surfacing of a Vision Pro 2 that could be launched as soon as 2025. Whether this is a more simplistic device is unclear, but I definitely didn't expect this to be ready so soon. I give this a probability of 50%. The Valve Deckard. Well, it seems like this headset is either never going to launch or will most certainly launch next year. The fact that they are actively testing and gearing up for mass production is a really positive sign. And if it wasn't for the fact I've been talking about this for the last 3 years, I'd say 90%. Because I've been expecting it for so long, it feels like 70% seems a more conservative guess. But please to God, Valve let us have this mythical beast, the Pimax Dream Air. Pimax, the mad scientists of VR, have opened up pre-orders for their lightweight 8K resolution headset. Shipping starts in May 2025, which means this one seems solid, but still has its skeptics. I'd give this a 90% probability. Meta Horizon headsets. Xbox, Asus and Lenovo are all working on headsets with Meta, and they have been for some time. The Xbox One especially is rumoured to be just a reskin, so this makes this one more likely. CES is just around the corner and we could see something then. I'd say there is a 40 to 60% chance we will get a release of one or all three of them in 2025. Now, I don't know much about these next headsets, but they have been rumoured. I'm not going to assign a probability because I just don't know enough about them. But there's potential for a Panasonic headset called Megan X2, another version of the Magic Leap called the Magic Leap 3, another Vario headset. I don't think we'll see another PlayStation headset after the lukewarm reception, but you never know. And so that wraps up what I think 2025 could look like. Best case scenario, we get every headset. Worst case scenario, we still end up with a few. It's always hard to tell in the tech space, but one thing is for sure, we are moving in an entirely new direction, a new generation, and I can't wait. Like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.